That's the 2/3 number. All right. The 1/3 number is the sheep. All right. That's why the Lord Yahweh Shai, who these people interviewed called Jesus, said himself that he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. All right. And he's going to separate his people, right, the Israel of the Most High, from the rebels, the ones that don't want the Lord to rule over them. All right. It says, everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword, right? It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. All right, see? So, it's going to be in that time, or it's going to be in that day that, you may have children. That's why it says, woe unto them that get sucking those the ass. Let me see if I can get that real quick, because Yahweh Shai said it as well concerning those days, right? Matthew's the 24th chapter, and actually I'm gonna start at verse 15. It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. All right, see, because the abomination that make it desolate, if you go back to the time of during the Greeks, all right, they ransacked Israel. All right. They started with Antiochus Epiphanes. They came into the temple and sacrificed swine on the altar. Because back then, that's what happened. And actually that happened before the time of Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai was born during the rule of the Romans. So when Yahweh Shai spoke about the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, in which that's talking about the future, in which that's the time that we're coming up to very soon. So even though you had Antiochus that ransacked Israel back then during those times, you have another time that we're coming up to is going to mimic what happened back then during the time, not only during the time of Antiochus, but also the time of 70 AD, when Israel fled, or the Israelites fled the land, and they was scattered throughout that region. All right, some fled north, some fled south, some fled west, and some fled east. All right, and the bulk of Israel fled to the western part of what is known today as Africa. All right, that's why whenever you speak about our history, that's why they say, oh, well, you're Africans, you came from the land of Africa, you're African American. Well, that's not true. All right, because we fled out of the land of Israel during the time of 70 AD and migrated into the western part of Africa, and then from after those days, or after that time, we were taken into captivity as a nation, mind you, and we were sold to our enemies, in which our enemy is the so-called white man of the nations, the Hamites, Ishmaelites. Because not only was the so-called Negroes were a part of that, but also the so-called Hispanics and the so-called Native American Indians were also a part of the transatlantic slave trade. All right. So going back to the topic, right, the abomination that make it desolate is going to happen again. Just how Esau persecuted our people back then during the time of 7 AD, he's going to do the same thing again in this time. Because the scripture in the book of Ecclesiastes said there's no new thing under the sun. All right. It says, let me read it over again. Verse 15 says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. All right. In which that's spiritual, because the holy place is talking about this truth. Why is that, man? Because we see the abomination of desolation, man. But in that time, the Lord is going to set up his men to be certain of us are going to be protection to the ones who have not woken up yet, right? Because it's going to be a time to where the elect is going to come in big numbers, all right, which is going to fill out the 144,000 number. All right. Because right now we're living in a time of Acts. All right. And during that time, when Yahweh Shai or Yahweh Bashim Shai bestows into us an increase in the Holy Spirit, we're going to have more and more people come out and listen. You're going to have a huge crowd of people coming out. And out of that crowd is going to come the elect. All right. But also during the time of Jacob's trouble, or the time of trouble that's spoken about in the scriptures, which I'm reading about right now, that day being as a chaste row, the men that you see out in the highways and byways, the spirit is going to be amplified within them. All right. Now, verse 16, it says, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. All right. In which, back then during that time, because verse 16 is talking about back then, before the time of 70 AD, because Yahweh Shai was warning Israel that during the time that they were going to come up to, which is 70 AD, they were going to be persecuted, and some would have to flee into the mountains. All right. And at verse 17, it says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. In which that's, I did a lesson about that before, about him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. And also too, verse 18, it says, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. In other words, them that are outside of the states, pretty much don't make your way towards the states, man. Stay over where you at. All right. And those of you that are in the states, stay where you at. All right. Even the apostle elders put out a decree that said, basically not to leave the states, man, because you never know when Esau decides to bring down martial law. All right. Now, verse 18, it says, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. See? And that's what I was talking about earlier in the book Isaiah, which I just, the previous verse, which I just read in Isaiah, the 13th chapter, speak about that children shall fall by the sword, roughly paraphrasing. That's why it says, woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. See? Because you have a child in those days, that child is going to be used against you. All right. You might have a family, a wife, children. And in that day, the children, hey, they're going to be taken in those days, man. All right. And it may just come to a point in time where, they may just use your children against you. All right. Especially during the time of when the mark of the beast is fully implemented, which is around the same time. All right. Now, verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So after this time that we're coming up to, it's not ever going to be another time like this. All right. Because this is pretty much the final, one of the final prophecies to come to pass, which is the martial law, which is the time of trouble, along with the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. All right. Verse 22, it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. See? So for the elect's sake, during those days, right, in which we're living in those days right now, it says, for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Especially during the time of martial law, man. Those days are gonna speed up very quickly. All right. For the elect's sake, once again. Now, going back to Isaiah the 13th chapter, in the start at 16th verse again, it says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. See? Because, like I mentioned before about these women, these Gurkha take out the man, basically these women are going to be fair game, man. These women that parade themselves around with great pride, stiff neck, with wonton eyes, like the book Isaiah speak about. Guess what, man? They're going to be ravished in those days, man. All right? That's when women are going to be really looking for the men of the Lord, man. That's why Isaiah, the 4th chapter, see if I can get that real quick. I believe it's Isaiah, the 4th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, it says, "In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." See? So, in that day, right, these women are going to be seeking after the men of the Lord, and they're going to, like the scripture says, 7 women are going to take hold of one man. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be exactly 7 women taking hold of one man. It can be 7, it could be 8, it could be 10, 20, however the Lord deliver these women over to us, man. Saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name. So what does that mean? What does it mean to be called by your name? When a woman takes on your name, what do you do in order for a woman to take your name? You lay down with them, man. You have sex with them. All right? And then once you lay down with them, they take on your name. All right? To take away our reproach. So I'll move on from there. I want to grab one last precept, the second edge of the 16th chapter, and start at the 70th verse. It says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." See? So that great insurrection, and that word insurrection means a rising up or a rebellion. All right? Upon those that fear the Lord. And that's talking about us, the Israelites. Okay? Verse 71 says, "They shall be like madmen," talking about Esau, all right, the martial law troops, "sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord," which once again is talking about us. "For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known, who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire." See, in that day, in the day of trouble, then they're definitely going to be known who are the Lord's chosen, man. Because the Lord is going to make sure that these people know who they are. All right? I know I know that says my last precept, but I got to grab one more. Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, starting at the 1st verse. It said, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors." All right, in which I just want to grab this precept, this first verse, because the righteous men that you see right now is standing in great boldness before the face of Esau, our oppressor, that made no account of our labors. All right. See that right now, that's what we're doing. We're standing in great boldness for the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And because of that, the Lord's going to reward us in that day. All right. The Lord's not going to just let us go out there on the highways and byways and put our bodies out on the line the way we have been, just to leave us out to be taken by the wolves, which is the wicked, which is Esau. The Lord is going to take care of us in that day, man. He's going to make sure that we're taken care of and that we're chilling, man. We're chilling, relaxing, Because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, look, man, when it comes to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man, look, and there's always been a recurring motto of me personally, as long as you don't screw over Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai won't screw you over. All right, and that's how I always thought of this truth, man. All right, you give to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and the Lord will give back to you. It's only fair. All right. The Lord is just like that. Like the scriptures say, the Most High is not mocked, because for whatsoever a man soweth, that she also reap. So if you sow good, he's going to reward you with good. All right. That's how it's going to be in that day. So what we've been doing, we've been sowing the good. All right. We've been doing the good works. unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So therefore, he's going to do unto us good, man. All right, wherever he see fit. But that pretty much wraps up this video on this lesson. I don't want to continue to draw this out any longer than what it is, man. Pretty much hit the point. Like I said before, that day is going to be as a chase road, man. We keep saying it over and over again, but when it really hits you, all right, and when it really will hit you in that day, then you're going to understand that that the times that we're talking about is it's going to be heavy. It's going to be detrimental and dangerous. We can only say so much concerning this topic, man. But when we really experience it, then we'll really understand what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua was talking about concerning the day of trouble. But that pretty much wraps up this video. Like I said, once again, Lord's will, you members of the Hope Elect, edified by this video. And until next time, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Rahawah Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. They continue to rule very well. Shalom, peace and safety. Salutations to the Hope Elect that's still continuing in this work, that's giving diligence to make your congregation sure in this ministry and this gospel. And with that,